Hey everyone, welcome back to this week's live stream. Today we're going to be talking about the Dometic RTX 2000 pre-install questions. So over here on the computer, I've got a little agenda for the day's live stream. It's very detailed, but what I want to do is make this live stream and have feedback from you guys that are watching it. So what we'll do is we're going to go over some specs and some questions that I'm anticipating you guys may have. Just some research that I've done with the unit behind me. This will help you if you're thinking about purchasing it and you wanted to know a little bit more about the specifications, you know, if it's going to work with your system or setup. But after we do this live stream, I want to make sure that if you guys have a question, before I actually put it in the van, put those in the comments below, and then that way I can answer those before we set up the actual install of the unit in the van. So today we're not going to be installing it during the live stream. We're just going to be going over what the unit is, if you're interested in it, the additional parts that you're going to need to buy with it. For some reason, Dometic doesn't sell everything with the unit. You have to buy the install kit, and then you have to buy the power kit. So that can kind of be confusing if you haven't, been looking online and been watching YouTube videos. It took me a couple of YouTube videos to figure out what was all needed for this install. It's not as simple, just buy it and then it has everything with it. So I'll give you a heads up about that. And then what we'll do is we'll talk about this system integrating with your power system. What is the minimum amount of power required to run this? And then we'll go into these final questions. So up here in the top left, we're going to talk about referencing the manual for the specifications. So that is in this big box over here on my right. We'll talk about some install location options. So if you guys want to do it in the front of the van, the middle, or the back of the van. Power requirements. If you're wanting to add this to an existing system, I guess I should have worded that. If you're wanting to take an old system out and put this in, what does that footprint look like? And then two really interesting companies here. So one is DIYvan.com. So we'll talk about them. They make adapters for the roof so that you have a nice, clean, flat install. If you've never installed a rooftop AC before, they pretty much give you the unit just like this, and they give you a bunch of foam. And they just kind of stick this down, squirt a bunch of sealant, and hope you get a nice seal, which with the corrugations on, ProMasters, Transits, Sprinters, this seal may not be as good as you want it to be. So DIY Van is a company that CNCs custom adapters for the roofs. So we'll go through that website and show you these items right here. So these three items I just ordered yesterday. So they'll be coming in pretty soon. We've got a adapter, a gasket, and a internal trim ring, because the trim ring that comes with the Dometic it's pretty hideous. So I'm really happy that somebody actually took the initiative to make something that's very clean and low profile. And then finally, we'll talk about this company, pneumaticCooling.com. That's actually where I purchased the unit from. And then they have two YouTube videos. And so in these YouTube videos, what they did that was very nice is they actually did a battery consumption test with a 100 amp hour battery, which is kind of a good place to start. And then they did an inside test, and then they followed it up with a part 2 video, and they did a outside test. So one was internal temperature of the room was 75 degrees, and the other one was outside in 100-degree temperature. They're out west, so pretty hot out there. So that was a very good test. They also did a different state of charges, so that's what SOC means. I'll get into that as well. And then, hopefully during this live stream, we'll bring in a bunch of questions, and I want to hear from you guys. You know, have you had any trouble installing this unit? What are some challenges that you had? Is there things that you want to know because you're thinking about buying this unit? That's really what this video is for. So I know a lot of my videos are very long form. It's kind of just my format. I'm going through my thoughts, but we'll try to keep this pretty succinct so that it'll be a good video just to reference, and you'll get all the information. And yeah, so let's check this out. So the Dometic RTX 2000, what is it? It is a rooftop AC unit, and it's a 12-volt rooftop AC unit. So most AC units you see on RVs are 110, 120. They need shore power enabled to run. So essentially they need household power to turn on. If you're trying to make a off-grid van and you have an off-grid power system, you're going to want to go with a 12-volt air conditioning unit because it's essentially a one-to-one. You have 12-volt power, it runs off a 12-volt. There's no intermediary to convert the power. Technically, if you had an RV and you had a rooftop AC, you could use your inverter to invert the 12 volts to household power and run it, but you're going to have an efficiency loss converting from the 12 volts up to the 110. So it's a more efficient way to do it, 12 volts. I guess this is a downside. For me, it just kind of comes with the territory of a 12-volt AC, but the BTUs are quite a bit less than a traditional unit. So you can just imagine you don't have that juice to kind of kick it in. However, Dometic Cooling has some new units, and now again, just a heads up, this video is not sponsored by DIYvan.com or pneumaticooling.com. This is just good information for you guys to easily reference. So there's no collaboration or anything like that. I'm just pulling stuff off and organizing it so it's really easy for you guys to understand. All right, so let's get into some other questions. Let me see where I was talking about. Yeah, so this does not need shore power. However, if you have an inverter charger and you plug the inverter charger in, it will top off your 12-volt system while you run this. So if anybody's more familiar with like an RV style setup, when you're using shore power, it essentially kind of works the same way, except you're not having, you have the capability to run it off straight off of 12 volts. And that's what we're doing. We'll also be talking about why I have so much batteries, or so many batteries. I've got 6 100 amp hour batteries. Typically, an adventure van, you're going to be running, LED lights, parking heater, stuff like that, and it really doesn't consume that much power. But if you want to run this unit, I would say like a normal person, you want to go to sleep at night and have it run through the night, and not just be one night. You're going to need a substantial battery bank to do it, and that's just for livability. This can technically run. So Dometic recommends 180 amp hours or greater. So you'll see with this pneumatic cooling test down here that a 100 amp hour battery is on, and I believe this is on eco mode, is 2 hours and 40 minutes. So if you are in the desert, Arizona, maybe in Florida, and if your system only had 100 amp hours, then that is all the runtime you're going to get. Now, remember, that's all the runtime you're going to get for the AC, but if you extinguish that 100 amp hours and that's your whole power system, then nothing else is going to run. So consider when you're getting an AC unit that a portion of the battery bank is dedicated to running your van as if you didn't have an AC unit, and the other portion of your batteries you can kind of think of being reserved for running the air conditioner unit. So if you wanted to run it you know, 6 hours at nighttime, you're going to need at least 3 of these batteries to do that. The other 3 are going to help you to do the stuff you need to do the next day, and depending on the solar that you have, that would be filling up the other 3 to get ready for the next night of air conditioning. And the reason I say solar is typically if you're wanting to do the true off-grid, you're not going to be driving the vehicle and the vehicle's going to be parked. So you're not going to be using alternator power to charge this. You're not going to be using shore power through the inverter charger to top off the batteries. It'll be strictly solar. So that's why doing a 12 volt and the efficiency of a 12 volt, the 1-to-1, is really attractive right now for building an off-grid van. All right, so let's go through the specs here. And if you guys have any questions, just hop on in the chat and we can answer those. Or I'll answer them the best I can. All right, so we're going to reference the manual for specs. So over here on the right, the RTX 2000 is 72.6 pounds. And I'm trying to figure out where they get this number from, because I am able to lift this box by myself up on the table. If I had a scale, I would weigh it, but I don't have a big enough scale. But by myself, this unit I can pick up from the floor and pick it up onto this table. So I don't know if that will help you guys at all, but the real trick is getting it on the roof. So from the floor to a table is not a big deal. Getting it to the roof, okay, that might be a little challenging. But according to the manual, it's 72.6 pounds. The recommended battery capacity is 180 amp hours or greater. And they're not specifying that this runs in eco mode. So just to be clear, there's an eco mode that the system runs in, so it's a low amp draw, and then there's just a regular mode where it runs, pulls as much juice as you want to cool as much as you can. So typically, these numbers are probably from the 100. Are from the eco mode. It doesn't specify that, so I wish they kind of put a little asterisk and said, 180 amp hours if you're in an eco mode. So that's the minimum capacity. Stuff that's also factored into this is that's the minimum capacity for batteries, but they're probably anticipating that you have some type of continual charging going on while the system is running. Down here, so we skip these 2 other specifications. You can see how I lined them out. It's discussing roof thickness. So the reason that I lined it out is it kind of goes out the window because we're not going to be using this stuff from Dometic. We're going to be using DIY van setup. So now would be a good time to just segue over to their website. So we're going to go to DIYvan.com. And you guys may be familiar with this website. I've talked about them in the past. I use their templates for the Max fan in the shop. They also have another product that a lot of people like, and that is these roof supports. So if you are not doing a rear mount fan, and you're doing more of a middle of the van or forward most mount, you're going to want to purchase this reinforcement kit that they have, and I'm coming over back to the camera to talk to you about it. So, all right, Jamie, thanks for the, what do I call that, a donation or a tip? So here's this this piece, and let's go to here. So this, they CNC these pieces. All right. Donations. I appreciate it, guys. That's awesome. So what this does is this will go in the van like this. And then you'll have these wide pieces that go here. So for example, if you had a max fan, you can see these pieces go, they reinforce the roof if you're cutting in an area where the span of your cross members is too wide and the roof gets a little floppy. This is what reinforces the roof. So they sell products like this. And then the product that I buy from them, so you're going to go to shop by van, transit products, and they've got a ton of products. So they have 3M Thinsulate, they have the high and mid roof vent adapter opening, and this is the one I buy. So just ignore like the blue of the photo. Their white balance was a little off when they took this photo, but you can see the corrugations, it's custom machined so that when it slips over that, it's a perfect fit. What's nice is you can drill a hole right in the cross member and then use this to locate it and trace your cutout on the top of the roof. You don't have to do any guesswork. They also make a version for the forwardmost fan. So this is a tricky area right here because you have this little dip where the seam is from the manufacturing, and it just fills in that dip really nice. And you can put the fan very far forward. They also have different locations in where you can get it. And they also, if you want to get butyl tape instead of using like a silicone adhesive, you can buy it with or without the butyl tape. So what I purchased, here's a good example of what I just talked about earlier. This is the frame for reinforcing that longer span of the roof. And then there's another photo in here. Where is it? So you can see how this crosses the gap and reinforces the roof. They have other things like swivels, some roof rack rails. They also have this built-in little boxes for the walls. I think that's pretty cool. And yeah, a couple other things. But we want to look at this Dometic RTX 2000 air conditioner adapter. So when you click on it, you can see we've got let's see if I can zoom in, there you go. So you can see this adapter is perfectly cut out for the RTX 2000. And they've got a couple other products here on the right. And I just spoke with them on the phone today. Here you guys can see this is on the right. So this may be kind of confusing, so I'm going to try to simplify it for you. So when you go to this page, let me back up. When you go to this link and you click on it, there's going to be a bunch of options over here on the right. So if you just keep it on the first photo, if you go on the right and then you just click on your options, it's going to show you a photo of what they're talking about. And then I'm going to go through this one by one and I'll show you what each of these are and what I bought for this van. So the first item that you want to purchase is the outside adapter for cargo area. So this is going to be at the rearmost of a 148-inch transit, not extended, just the regular 148. This is where a traditional max fan would go. It's that opening where the rail has about a 14-inch gap, and most max fans are installed. We already have one in the forwardmost part of the van, and Adventure Wagon already had that pre-cut out in our template on the inside of the van. So we need to make a new one in the rear, and we're going to use this as our template. So we ordered the outside-most cargo adapter. Then we came down. If you want to have a spacer, you can. What this spacer does is controls the height of the vents on the interior. So if you got more spacers, the AC would be higher, which would mean it goes further in the roof, and then less spacers, the vent, where the air blows out is going to be more in the van. And this just has to do with aesthetics, really. How much you want of that unit being shown. So this is not necessary. What is necessary is the foam seal. So this foam seal, as you can see, is completely different than this pile of rubber, okay? So this, you have to make your own seal, but if you go with DIY van, this thing is cut, CNC cut, it's very precise, looks amazing. The last thing you want to get is the interior bezel. So I'm going to get this black interior bezel, and this thing really cleans up the van. I'm going to go and show you how ridiculous the one from Dometic is. And I'm only hating on Dometic because it's comical what the trim piece looks like for this air conditioner. So this big box right here in the back is part 3 of what you need to buy. So you got to buy this, which is the unit itself. You got to buy this, which is the power and seal kit that comes with this piece of cardboard, which is the roof window template. And then you need this third box, which I haven't opened yet. And this is going to give you your installation bars, hardware, and trim, how much I am, trim. Let's see here. Let's see if I have an easier way to do this. Okay, I'm gonna move this. You guys have already seen this seal. Just shove this in the back. They do give you this plastic electrical, protect your wires. This is a 4-gauge wire that you're supplied with. It is really nice. It's 4-gauge and it has an integrated 12-volt signal wire. So you do want to buy this. That kit also comes with your 80-amp fuse. We'll talk about that in a second. You get your manual and then more paperwork. All right, so this is called the Dometic Cool Air Accessory. Also, a tip, I kept seeing RTX 2000, Dometic RTX 2000, and then I saw Dometic Cool Air RTX 2000. They're synonymous. They're the same thing. It sounded like they were 2 different units. One was made different. That's not true. They're the same thing. That's according to Pneumatic Cooling, so hopefully they are not wrong about that. All right, so this is the comical piece here. So I showed you this. This is the clean trim ring. It's almost like the same trim ring as like a Max fan. But this is what you can buy that's nice and clean. This is the trim ring from Dometic. So they want you to put this up in your van. So this is where the air comes out. But this area over here, this is, guys, this thing is humongous. So, I mean, just imagine putting this up in your van. Very tacky. But if you like something like that, you know, go for it. But this second box is going to come with a couple other items that you need. You got another pair of cables. And again, it's weird that this is segmented into 3 purchases. So another set of wires in a separate box, another set of gaskets in a separate box, and then this is going to be your hardware. Each one of these brass inserts, you have to actually screw into the plastic of the underside of the Dometic and use that to bolt it down. And then last but not least, they give you the bars right here, and this is actually what clamps it into your roof of your vehicle. Yeah. So, yeah, it's just, yeah, strange to me that these things are in different boxes. Not different boxes, separate orders. So you have to add each one individually to your cart. Yeah, go and do, this thing's humongous. I mean, here, this is how big I am. This is, and this is just unused space. Another thing to mention is if you get the DIY van, you have a little bit more control on how much of your roof you're cutting out. Because, I'll show you why. I'm really big about not removing more material than is necessary. So as you can see, this right here is all that's necessary to be removed for the unit to come in. There's one side right here, and you guys will notice if I go back to DIY van, you'll notice that they have a little cutout right here. So let's go to the foam seal. Do you see the cutout right there? So that cutout is where the power cable comes in. So this only needs to be enough room to access your bolts to clamp it in, and then pull in your cable. So you can minimize the amount of material removed from your van roof. So just be careful when they give you this template. You can see how much more material you're removing from the ceiling of your van. And then how much, the more material you move, the more you're going to have to seal. Now, this is not a deal breaker. Many people have successfully installed this with the kit in hand. There's many videos online of using these the three kits, this one, the electrical, and the kit, to put this in. So if you just bought this and you didn't go to DIY van, you still can successfully put this in your van. So, not saying you can't. I just I like to do things a little bit more neat and professional. So that's what I'm showing you guys today. I'm showing you options so that you can do it DIY, but have a professional finish. So again, the outside adapter, so it's the main part, that's 205/59. The foam seal, which is 57/75, and then the interior bezel 90/09. So you need those 3 things, and you will be set. It's gonna really help speed up your install. So that is these items over here. So that's why I blacked out these lines, because the roof thickness is going to be different because you're going to be using a different company DIY van to seal it to the roof. Yeah, going to it is crazy huge. So Gondu says it might look good to use that black trim ring for the air conditioner and matching one for the max air fan. Yeah, so I'll show you when it arrives. I'll show you the difference, because technically it's not exactly 14 by 14. I think it's just a little. I think it's a little bit bigger on one side, which I don't know why I didn't put that on this slide. So I'm gonna go. Let me Google the Dometic manual. Yeah, if anybody that's watching has questions that pertain to a pre-install question, so some questions you have that you want me to address when I actually do the install, I'd like to get your feedback or have those questions in the chat. Okay, so if we go to Dometic's website, scroll down to specifications, manuals and documentation, and then you want to go right here and download the 1000-2000 install operating manual. So once you get it, I'm going to zoom in. We're going to see what is trying to, they have a measurement. We'll have to convert it, I'm pretty sure. So while we're here, let's talk about the external dimensions. So the height is 6.6 inches. The length, 25.4 inches. And then the width is 33.9 inches. The reason this is important to, if you are thinking about this, is remember that this is going on the roof, and I would advise that you, if you are going to do an AC unit, do it first before you purchase your solar panels for your roof. That way you can make sure that you are not purchasing something as in solar panels that are not going to fit once you get this on. That's what I'm doing. I've already mapped out the whole roof. I know exactly what solar panels I'm getting, but before I click that buy button, I'm going to install this unit and try to see if I have some more options so I can fit as much solar as possible on the roof. Currently, using only 50 watt panels, I can put 400 watts worth of solar on there with the current roof rack that I have. But depending on when I get up there, maybe I can actually squeeze some other panels. When you're buying solar panels, there are kind of go-to sizes. Typically, the width of a roof rack is around 58 inches to 60. It's very rare to find a 60-inch roof rack width for a Ford Transit van for some reason. I think AVC Rig is the only one that I know of that it's very close to 60. So we'll talk about that in another video, but this is the dimensions for the exterior, the internal dimensions that we were looking for right here. So we have 5 inches in height. So that's coming 5 inches into the van. So this height number, this can be adjusted by going over here to DIY Van and buying different spacers. So that's how those are related. The length, so this will be 2. So front to back is the length, and it's 15 inches. So what I need to do is that 14 by 14 inch max fan hole that's typically cut out, what you're going to do is your width is going to be about the same, obviously 14 inches. But that 15 inches, you're going to have to make a note that you're taking about a 1/2 inch from the supports on one side of the van and then a 1/2 inch out of the supports on the other side of the van. And I think you'll be okay because there's already a 1/4 inch lip. So really you're only taking out about a 1/4 inch of that structural member. Once again, other people have done this. There's tons of YouTube videos, but for me, I kind of like to get in the details when I'm here and just kind of give you guys a heads up. But what I'm going to do is split that inch over the two cross members of the roof. So cutting a 1/2 inch a little bit more on one side and a 1/2 inch more out of the other side. There's a tilt allowance, and that has to do with the degree of van tilt. For me, 28 degrees sounds pretty aggressive, so I think that's a bonus. So if you want it on while you're off-roading, I guess that is what you would need to reference. I don't think you would park your vehicle at a 20-degree angle, but I guess it's possible. Down here, we have some other specifications. So if we reference what we worked on here, we'll come back to the voltage here in a second. Well, I'll just say it while I'm here. Input voltage 10 to 15. And remember, it's DC, the 12 volt DC. Overall height when installed not to exceed 13.1 feet. That's interesting that they made a note of that. Because I definitely know some RVs that are pretty high. Clearance requirements. So this is where we're at right now. So the clearance requirements for the surrounding of the AC unit, they're wanting it to be 12 to 20 inches. So 12 inches, I guess, would be the minimum, left to right, front to back, so that it can pull in the air to cool itself from the sides. And then, so next we will talk about, we'll get into the electrical here. So let me see what else is in this manual. I pretty much pulled everything out I wanted to show you, but let me scroll down here. Here's a wiring diagram that you guys can reference. And this is the schematics for the unit itself. This is not, besides this little battery part right here and the fuse. So this small section right here, let me zoom in. This small section, the battery, 2 amp fuse, and the 80 amp fuse, this is really what you're just going to reference to do the install as it relates to your power system. The rest of this is the internal workings of the AC unit. Let's see here. Over here on the left, you can see this is where those brass inserts go into the bottom of the unit. You got your bars to secure it in the van. And then these fuses and blade fuses, we're going to talk about that right now. So if we come over here, the wire gauge that is being used to supply power to it is 4 gauge. So that is the first cable that we looked at. This is chunky guy right here. So this right here is the 4 gauge. And then it comes with a connector on one end, and then it's bare on the other end so that you can strip and crimp to your battery. So with it being 4 gauge, they are supplying you with an 80 amp fuse. However, we're going to be using our Victron Links distributor as the fuse point. They do supply you with a fuse holder and a fuse if you want to use that, but we're going to directly connect it to the power system with the 80 amp mega fuse, so we actually won't use their fuse. And then, let me get my face on the other side here. The fuse requirement, 80 amps. Then down here we have connect the red positive lead for the voltage signal with a 2 amp fuse. So you will need to get a 2 amp blade fuse for this little small wire here. And my suggestion, if you have a blade fuse, like a terminal, you know, something that has like 6 or 10 blade fuses, you can use that. What I'm going to do, which is just a very simple way of adding a blade fuse into a circuit, is I'm going to heat shrink in this thing right here. So you can just buy this at, you know, Advanced Auto Parts or AutoZone, and it's just a kind of weather resistant blade fuse holder, because it's probably very extremely rare that would ever trip. And then yeah, that's the 2 amp. So that's pretty much the core of the details. If you guys are wondering what is kind of required. So now let's talk about battery size and the current. So a previous live stream, Go and Do and I were actually talking about her situation with the RTX 2000, in which the power from the EcoFlow system was not sufficient enough to supply power to the Dometic RTX 2000. So this is just what's in my head from doing the research, but the EcoFlow system, which I definitely want to use on my next build, maxes out at about 70 amps. So technically that should work. However, I think the gauge wire going from the battery bank of the power kit to the panel, it's just not sufficient to, you know, run everything, because I think the wires are, they're only 6 gauge wires. They may be even 8 gauge wires. So in order to solve that problem, what Go and Do did is purchase, so is the Indel B system. And I was talking to DIY Van today, and just letting them know that I was looking forward to getting that unit, because they're actually a supplier now, which is pretty cool. So you can see these are the two Dometics, and then over here on the right is the Indel B Plin Aircon unit. And this unit, it's much more expensive. Well, not really, because technically once you buy the power kits, not the power kit, once you buy the cable install and the bracket install and seal kit, you're getting close to this number anyway. But here's the game changer. And Go and Do, I'm going to grab your question in just a second. But the game changer about this is I don't like to buy the air conditioning unit until DIY Van makes an adapter for it. So guess what? Since they carry the Indel B system, which is a lower current system, so it pulls less, the power consumption is less than the RTX 2000, as far as I know. Because Go and Do is saying that is working for their system, so I'm excited to hear that. But see, DIY Van has, if you go to shop, let's see here. We're just going to do indel B. Let's see how we need to search for this. Here we go. So we got the AC, and then over here we got the indel B adapter for a ProMaster, a Ford Transit, and a Sprinter. So they actually have this special adapter, and it's very intricate, and again, they make excellent stuff, so this is pretty cool. So good news is they have the adapter for it, so that makes me happy. And there's also a video here. They have a video on this and the RTX that you guys can watch. So let me back up. So Go and Do asked, is there a difference between a blade fuse and a circuit breaker that is resettable? If both are the same required amperage, if so, which is superior? So your circuit breaker is going to be superior. If you can think of a blade fuse, think of a blade fuse is what is, pretty much been in every automotive car that's been produced in the last, 30 years. And it's literally like a, do I have an example? Yep, I got one. Hold on a second. The downside of a blade fuse is you're going to be restricted by the amount of current that you can put in them. You can get them that are 30 amps, but you'll see here why that would not make sense to go further. All right, so we got a couple examples here, so let's click out and answer that question real quick. So this is a blade fuse. So see, it's got like a little blade. So, blade, they're kind of little tiny. So they're really made for like, LED circuits. Anything, up until maybe 30, I think you can get ones in 40 amps, but these are for low current applications. Air conditioners are high current. So you need something that looks like this. So Go and Do, you were saying you were looking for a resettable circuit breaker. So this one is resettable. So you could use this one and see it clicks, and then you can just take it right here and reset it. And then when you have higher current situations, you're going to want to do something like this. This is overkill, this cover. You don't have to have this. I just like it because it looks cool when I mount it. And also, it's just a safer option because it's weather sealed and the cover clicks in place. So if you have stuff that falls in here, it's not going to arc. But these are like MIDI and mega fuses, and this uses a chunkier fuse. And then a step up from this is the mega fuse, which is used in the Links distributor. And I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to show you how big that one is. But I think a MIDI fuse is what Dometic supplies you with. And I'll show you that here too. So let me just undo this. I try to do everything with mega fuses. It's overkill, but I like to simplify things. So if you're in a van and you maybe keep a spare of like 3 mega fuses with you, you're not having to do one ATC. One blade fuse, one MIDI, one mega. So here's a mega fuse. So this thing is, you can see the difference. Okay, see how big of a difference? So high current, low current. Let's see, what was I going to show you? Oh yeah, let me show you what Dometic provides you in the bag. So with the wiring kit that you buy for the RTX 2000, this is what you get, this kit. And so Actually, I didn't know they did this. They already give you one of these, so you don't have to buy it. So see, they gave you exactly what I was going to use. So they give you this. They also give you terminals or lugs so that you can connect it to your system. I'm not going to use these. I'm going to use these really nice UL listed copper lugs. They do provide you with an additional fuse for that. They do provide the little tiny connectors for the signal wire. And then last but not least, they have a, let's see if I can open this up. So last but not least, they have a MIDI fuse right there. So you can kind of see a MIDI is like a baby Mega. But we're still going to use a Mega. Because the reason I use a Link's distributor is it's very neat and organized, and everything's in one spot. Because if you use this, and then you use this, and then you use this, and then you have one of these, you can do that. It's just, I don't think it's neat. So all that is what comes in this bag, which is nice. They do give you everything that you need. The only thing that's missing that I would suggest that you get is located on our DIY van build cheat sheet. So head on over to vanbuilderhq.com. Check out our DIY van build cheat sheet. This is essentially an Excel sheet of all the items that I've bought off of Amazon in the last 3 years. And guess what? The only thing that Dometic is missing is the tools to crimp your connections. So in here, I have all the crimping tools that I use to crimp all of my connections. So for example, let's go down through here just really quick. We've got a ferrule crimping tool. So that's how I put ferrules on there. And you just go over to the right, hover above it, and boom, you're going to have, well, if I can move my face out of the way. So you just come over here, hover over it, and it's going to give you a picture of the kit on Amazon. Same thing, let's just go down here. You're going to need to crimp the big connections, the hydraulic crimp tool. Check this out. Just hover over it, boom, you got your hydraulic crimp tool. This is all the stuff I have in the shop. You're going to need to cut the wire, that big heavy gauge wire. So this is perfect for it. All of this is on this list. It's all Amazon links. Anything that you purchase off of here, it does help support the channel, and I really appreciate it. So this list, guess what? You can get it 100% free. Just put your name and email address. It'll come straight to your inbox. It's over 250 curated items. And guys, I have been purchasing at least 40 more things that I will be adding to this list very soon. And we'll probably be getting up close to 300 curated items. That's going to help you save time and money when building your DIY van. You're going to save time because you can just reference one sheet with all the stuff that I have here in the shop and that I use: electrical, cargo, fasteners, HVAC, solar panels, inverters. They're all in here. You're going to save money because instead of buying a couple things and then having to return them or wasting it on something that doesn't work, for example, a tool, this is stuff that I've vetted. It's stuff I use in the shop. I really think it's going to help you guys out. So if you want to have that list, access to that list, you can get it 100% free. Just put your name and email address in here. Click download now. It'll be sent right to your inbox. And I really think it's going to help you out. All right, we got another one from John. All right. Thanks, John. All right, so yeah, that is located on that list, so I hope you guys check that out. So back over here, where were we finishing up? We were talking about all the circuit breakers and stuff like that. So let's finish talking about this final thing over here, which is pneumatic cooling's test. And I'm going to click on the link. And then hopefully, let me put this over here. And I'm going to fast forward it. All right, guys, if you've never checked out this company, Pneumatic Cooling, Jonathan does their YouTube, and he is known as the Van Genius. Really funny guy. However, he did the only good walkthrough of actually how long the unit runs for. So in this example, and I'm gonna go ahead, let me put the link here. I'll share the link. So this is the first video. Here, let me put the fan build cheat sheet. So he does a 2-part video. Stay with me, guys. I'm just copying some links. All right, the link I just pasted, this is for the DIY van build cheat sheet. Click on that link. You can also go to vanbuilderhq.com and click on that link, or go to that website, and you'll be able to access this sheet as well. But let me copy this. This is battery, I'm going to call this battery part 1 test. So that's the link to that. And then they have a part 2. Let me go here. And this is battery test part 2. Again, there's no affiliation with this company. I've just been watching their stuff, and I think it's good content to help you guys out. So they do part 1 and then they do part 2. It's an inside test, and oh, go and do. Thank you so much. Awesome. Very, very nice. Thank you. I really appreciate it. So they do an inside test and they do an outside test. So if we go over here, I've already put this together for you guys. Let me get this a little bit bigger. So on the right here, or the left here, the first video you watch is with a 100 amp hour battery. The important thing right here is the state of charge. So the state of charge is 13.3 volts. So in a perfect world, you're going to get more of like a 14 volt on a lithium iron phosphate battery at a full charge. So what's nice is he did this test at a slightly lower state of charge, which means that this number is more real world. I mean, it's real world because he did it in the real world, but what I'm saying is it's at a state of charge that you will probably start to time yourself because you may not be at a perfect 100% if you are running this. The second video is part 2, and this is when he did it outside. The batteries were fully charged at 14.15 volts state of charge, and then the outdoor temperature was 100 degrees, and it ran for 2 hours. So this is what I based my numbers off of. Treats for Nova. Oh, Nova, you got to get on camera now. You got bought treats. She's coming, guys. She's gonna come say thank you. Thank you for the treats. There you go. All right, Nova says thanks. All right, so let's go to, so this last one was outside test, and that's what I based mine off of, which was the 2 hours. 2 hours, so let's talk about what that looks like. So let me back up here. So this system back here, we've got 600 amp hours of batteries. Before going into the batteries, we're going to end the stream in just a little bit. So not too soon. I'm still wanting to hear all your guys' questions. So if you have any questions, start asking them. I'm going to go over the power system, and then at the end, we'll do a little wrap up. So if you look over here, we've got 600 amp hour batteries. So if we're just doing simple math, 600 amp hour batteries should give us, a substantial run time, but that's what I want to tell you guys. You want to think of this system, even though there's 6 batteries connected parallel, think of this as almost having 2 battery banks, because you're not going to want to use your whole power system just to run the AC. You can, but this power system, remember, you have an inverter, you maybe have a microwave, you got a refrigerator, you've got a hot water heater, you've got a parking heater, you got lights in your van, so you got all of that stuff that needs to be powered by this system. So in your mind, kind of segment it. So let's take the 6 batteries, we'll just chop it in half and say we have 3 100 amp hour batteries. So 3 100 amp hour batteries will safely give us, according to this, 2 hours of runtime, which is, I think, perfect. So that gives you 3 batteries to just crank it up, run it, keep you nice and cool at nighttime when you're summer camping. 300, that's going to help you operate your van during the day, but then during that day, you're going to be able to top off, depending on your solar input, these 3. And if you wanted to run your engine or something like that, some people that actually do the 12 volts, this may sound kind of counterintuitive, but they may bring a Honda EU 2000. Let me just show you what that is. So if you go over here, this may sound silly, but just stay with me for a second. So during the day, really what you want to do is use this system at nighttime. Everything's nice and quiet. But during the day, some people that want to do total off-grid, they can't plug into shore power, they bring just a small generator, and they'll run it for an hour or so, and they'll just top off the portion of the batteries that was used by the AC unit, and that way they can kind of top off their system. Now, what's interesting is I'm sure you know about this, but EcoFlow actually makes a portable generator that they can, let's see if I can find it. that you can, where is it? It's not solar. I think it's a gas. There it is. So EcoFlow actually makes a dual fuel generator, which is pretty cool. So if you wanted to stay with the brand, they actually have a port on the panel. So see, you can run this off of propane or gasoline, and top off your system. And this, if you go to EcoFlow, we're going to go to the power kits, and we're going to go here. So if you look on here, if you zoom in, well, I can't zoom in because I got to get that app so I can zoom in on some of this stuff that doesn't zoom in for you guys. But right here, there's a port that says generator. So battery 3. So port 1 could be like your 5 kW battery. Port 2 would be your other 5 kW. So I think you have a 10 kilowatt system. So both of these plugs are filled up. This third plug you could use to run your, to have an input from this gas generator that's outside your van. So you can kind of get somewhat of a like a shore power thing out in the complete wilderness. And you may ask the question, Nick, well, why don't you just get a bigger battery bank? Well, you can do that. You can buy as many batteries as you want, but I mean, they get expensive and space is limited inside your van. So, there's kind of diminishing returns as you get going on. What I really like about the EcoFlow so much is the 5 kilowatt battery is equal to 4 of these batteries. So a 5 kilowatt battery is about 400 amp hours. So Go and Do's system is about 800 amp hours. So I have 6 batteries capacity. They have about 8 batteries worth of capacity, comparably. And Go and Do, you have that indel, so I mean, I think you should be really doing really well power consumption wise with that much power. If you're kind of doing that indel system, from what I've seen. All right, let me see if I have anything else for you guys on this list. Before we go tonight. Hop up here. We talked about the reference manual for specs, install locations and options. The kit from DIY Van, that is really what's going to allow you to put this unit where you want it. You could put this in a forwardmost position. So for example, they have options. The first one is the rear cargo area. The second option is the forwardmost. So if you guys can see right here, this forwardmost option would be the furthest forward you could go and actually mount this unit. And they do have an adapter for that. Power requirements, we talked about that. Need at least 180 amp hours, an 80 amp fuse, 4-gauge wire. That's awesome. Yeah, you have to let me know how the generator works. I don't know. Maybe I'll get one before you if I get this van going here. The other van. The question about adding into existing system. So as long as if you have like a 14 by 14 vent fan, this is something that you want to look for because of the opening. It's a 14 by 15 inch, So you would have minimal cutting needed to actually get this to go into your van. You just have to make sure you cut out that portion over here where the cable needs to come through. And what's so nice about DIY Van, again, not sponsored, but when you buy this, it's the template, it's the pre-cut out holes, everything is CNC'd, very accurate, and it just saves so much time. So adding an existing system, you can find an old Max fan or like Fantastic Fan vent hole and repurpose that for an air conditioning. So say if you have 2 in your van, just use one for the air conditioning. It's typically what people that are doing this would do. Then last is, what questions do you guys have for me? If you weren't able to see this live stream live today, still put your questions and comments in the comment section below. If you guys are new here, I'd love for you guys to become a subscriber to this channel. We've got all kinds of videos here on DIY, real technical, in-depth videos just like this, and pretty cool format here in the shop. So it's kind of like a build and learn environment, because I will be taking this and actually installing it in a van, and then you guys will get to see that on a future live stream. So any questions between now and then, yeah, definitely get subscribed. Like this video if it helped you. If there's somebody else that you think it may help, share that to them, give them the link, and yeah, I think this is pretty good for everybody. But thanks so much for watching this stream. I'm going to stand here for about 1 minute to see if there's any more questions that comes through, any last minute questions. We do have a couple people watching the stream tonight, so if you guys have a question, I'll be on here for, we'll give it about 5 minutes, and then we'll close it up. So I'm going to pull up this chart here so you guys can see it, and I'm going to walk over to this battery bank just to make sure that there isn't anything that I missed that I did want to talk to you guys about. So let's get this. There we go. Yeah, feel free to screenshot that if you guys want to get that info. The next video coming up, we're going to be moving into this power system, so the off-grid power system over here. I've been working on that system behind me, and we're getting pretty close. We got a couple more things that have come into the shop. I can't turn this around, but we have some stuff here that I'm going to show you. This is the new Renogy 1. So if you guys have questions about that as well, you can drop it in this video. It's okay. We will be talking about the Renogy 1 system and showing you guys how to install it and what the features are of it, because I think it is it's a pretty interesting piece of kit. I typically like the Red Arc system because of its wireless connectivity, especially in Thomas's van, which is perfect. And then we use the Garmin Power Switch as a supplemental wireless system. So we had 16 wireless circuits that can be all controlled from his phone. With the Renogy 1, you have 3 buttons here, and so these are like almost like a light switch in your house, so off and on. So 3 circuits. I think it's good because it's very simple. You can add additional circuits, but there's like a home kit you need to buy to integrate into this. This system is designed mainly for like an off-grid solution as like a cabin or something like that. However, that stuff is so similar to what's in a van that that inverter charger over there, the Rego system, which is kind of like off-grid, we can use that in a van because it's essentially the same thing. So this, it has a app you can connect to. This is a display screen, so we'll get to installing this and turning this on. But you got a display. Everything is Bluetooth connected, so there's a hub that connects to this, and then you have RS-45 connections to these batteries, and they're essentially an Ethernet cable. So each one of these batteries will be linked with an Ethernet cable. Both of the 50 amp DC to DC MPPT charge controllers, as you can see, they got an Ethernet port. So all of these will be connected into the hub. The hub has a Bluetooth dongle that connects into it, and that connects into the Renogy One. So once you get all of that connected, this interface is going to allow you to find out your stated charge of your batteries, the in and out of the DC to DC MPPT, your inverter, current wattage, that sort of thing. And then on the back is how you're going to connect these three buttons. So on the back here, you've got your in channel 1, out, in channel 2, out, in channel 3, out, 12 volt power to power, bring power to this. It'll also run off of a USB-C cable. And then you've got your RS-45 plug right here that comes from the hub, and that will allow you to communicate with all your devices. So in a sense, it's kind of like an EcoFlow system. However, I'm excited to move from this to EcoFlow on the next build. I'm not sure there's anything that would change my mind at the moment. I'm not set on anything. It's just I think the efficiency of the time of the install of the EcoFlow makes a lot of sense, and the upgradability of the system. So for example, you can just start off with a 5 kilowatt battery, and then over time increase your battery size. Of course, this is kind of the standard go-to for a van build, the setup with the inverter and the batteries, and then you kind of manually doing the wires and stuff like that. This has its place too, because just like I said earlier in this live stream, this Dometic will not work with the EcoFlow due to the current draw. Even on paper, technically it says it works. I've actually called tech support both on EcoFlow and Dometic, and they said it would work according to the documents, but I know Go and Do kind of helped me out, let me know that they tried that and it didn't work out. So the Indel B system came on my radar, and that was very efficient, so even better. Plus, it's a van. It's not a house. You don't need a full AC system in your van. The bigger motorhomes, yes, the BTUs make a difference, but in a van, it's a small space, so BTUs are not that critical. Now, if you want it to cool down quickly, yes, that comes into play, but if you pre-chill the van, like with the engine running and the main air conditioner, then kick this on, I think it's a very efficient way to run it. But we're going to try out the Renogy One on this system. So all of this stuff, these are the smart lithium iron phosphate batteries from Renogy. 3 of these batteries have an internal heater. So in case everything gets below freezing, the power will still run. We'll still have 300 amps of power until the other batteries heat up. So 3 of these are heated, 3 of these are not. Got the 3,000 watt inverter charger, and then 2 of the DC to DC MPPT charge controllers. So this is what it'll charge from the alternator, and it'll also charge from the solar panels. So that'll all work together, and with this, and I think this is just going to be a very clean setup. We'll have this, we'll have a Robusto Bluetooth parking heater control system, so you can control it from your phone. That way, when you want to turn the heater on, you don't have to get out of bed. You can do it with your phone. And then on the right side of that, we'll have a Bluetooth smart shunt from Victron. And that is that's not a necessary component, because the Renogy One system is going to tell you your battery state of charge. But since I'm using this system, I want to have another thing to reference, and why not have some more Victron components in the van? All right, this is going to do it for our stream tonight. I don't see any more questions coming through. Once again, if you made it this far and you are not subscribed, I'd love for you guys to get subscribed. Check out the live streams. Check out the other videos we have. Our Bend, Oregon Adventure Van Expo from last year is doing excellent. A lot of people really enjoyed that video. We're going to be doing some more Adventure Van Expos this year, so we'll see those videos coming in the future. And then we have some other videos of just shop updates, the van that we're working on currently. But get subscribed, like this video if you enjoyed it, share it with your friends if you think it'll help them out if they're building their DIY van. Other than that, hope you guys have a great night, and we will see you in the next live stream.